Hi and welcome to Crochet with Siska. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this crochet bear heart. Okay, I already have this one made in white, but I'm going to show you how to make this using 2 colors of yarn. If you're new here, join us by subscribing to our channel for more crochet tutorials. You can see they are very, very pretty, right? And this heart is for babies of ages 0 to 3 months. So this is the yarn that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. This would form the main cap, and I'll be using this color of yarn to make the brim and the ears of the cap. The cap is going to have ears. So as usual, I'm using locally made yarn here in Nigeria. This is Yeye Extra for the both of them, and I have my 5mm hook, which is what I'm going to be using for this tutorial. The first thing that we're going to do is to make a magic ring. I'm going to act as if I'm creating a knot, but we are not making a knot. We just want to make a very, very big circle. So the first thing I'm going to do is to yarn over through this loop, large loop that we have here. So I insert my hook, pull my yarn through, okay. I'm going to chain 2. And I'll unravel this end, because we are going to pull this once we are done with our stitching on this loop. So after chaining 2, I'm going to go ahead to do 12 double crochet stitches in this same loop. In order to do a double crochet stitch, I yarn over, insert my hook, pull my yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that's my first double crochet stitch. I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time. So I yarn over, insert my hook, pull my yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. This is the first loop. Here is the second loop. I yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So I've done 2 double crochet stitches. I'm going to go ahead and do 10 more to complete my 12 double crochet stitches. So once I'm done making the 12 double crochet stitch in that loop, in that big loop, what I'm going to do right now is to pull this yarn, this tail that we have here, so we can tighten things up. So I'm just going to pull it tight. The next thing I'm going to do is to close this off at the top of the chain 2 with a slip stitch. So I insert my hook under the stitch here at the top of the chain 2, pull my yarn through, and then I pull through that loop. What I'm going to do next is to do a chain 2 again. So this is our first row, which is our magic ring. We are going to move to our row 2 now, or round 2. And in order to begin round 2, we are going to chain 2. So chain 1, chain 2. And beside this chain 2 that we've just done, we are going to be doing 2 double crochet stitches in the stitch beside the chain 2. So I'm not counting this chain 2 as a double crochet stitch. No. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets in that stitch beside the chain 2. So here is my first double crochet stitch, and then here is the second double crochet stitch. I've done 2 double crochets in the first stitch, so I'll go ahead and do 2 double crochets in the next 11 stitches, making that a total of what? 2 double crochets in 12 stitches. So I'll go ahead and continue. When I've completed the round of 2 double crochet stitches, I'll come show you guys what we're going to do next. So I've completed row 2, and I have a total of 24 double crochet stitches and our chain 2 that we have here at the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and close off row 2 or round 2 with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2 that we have here. So here is my slip stitch, and then we are going to begin our round 3 or row 3. For row 3, I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to do 2 double crochet in the stitch beside the chain 2. Here is my first double crochet stitch, In that same space, I'm going to do another double crochet stitch. In the next stitch, we are going to do a single double crochet stitch. And in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 double crochet stitches. So here is the first stitch. And in that same space, I'm going to do another double crochet stitch. So I'm just going to repeat this for row 3. 2 double crochet stitch, 1 double crochet stitch, 2 double crochet stitches, 1 double crochet stitch, 2 double crochet stitches, 1 double crochet stitch, like that till I get to the end. I've completed row 3 now, and I have a total of 36 double crochet stitches, excluding the chain 2 that we have here. We are not counting the chain 2 as a stitch, okay? So I'll go ahead and close off row 3 with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2. So I come right here and do my slip stitch to close off row 3, and we are going to begin row 4 now. And for row 4, I'm going to chain 2 to begin with. So the stitch beside our chain 2, I'm going to do 2 double crochet stitches in there. So here is the first double crochet stitch, and then here is the second double crochet stitch. In the next 3 stitches, I'm going to be doing single double crochet stitch. So each stitch is going to have 1 double crochet stitch. So I move to the next stitch, I do 1 double crochet, move to the next stitch, do 1 double crochet, move to the next stitch, and do 1 double crochet. Then in the next stitch, after the 3 double crochets, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. So here's the first one. In that same stitch, I'm going to do another double crochet stitch. So the sequence is going to continue like that. After the 2 double crochet in the same stitch, I'm going to do double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, 2 double crochet in this stitch, then double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, and then 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So I'll go ahead and do that and come show you guys what we have. So I've completed row 4 now, and we have a total of 45 double crochet stitches, excluding our chain 2. So what I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and close off row 4 with a slip stitch at the just after the chain 2, at the top of the chain 2. Okay, so I insert my hook, pull my yarn through, and then pull it through this loop, and now we have our row 4 complete. To begin row 5, I'm just going to go ahead and chain 2. So after chaining 2, we're going to be doing double crochet in all the stitches, starting from the stitch closest to our chain 2. So I'm going to start. Here's my first double crochet. So we're beginning row 5 now. Here is the second double crochet. So we're basically going to do double crochet all around for our row 5. Completed row 5, and I have a total of 45 double crochet stitches, just like what I had for row 4. So I'm going to go ahead and close off row 5 with a slip stitch just after the chain 2. Okay, under this stitch here, I go ahead and close row 5. So whatever it is that I've done for row 5, I'm going to repeat it for rows 6 to 12. So row 6 to 12 is practically going to be the same thing that we have done, for row 5. Start with chain 2, okay, do a double crochet in the stitch after chain 2. So this is our first double crochet stitch, and then we're going to do 44 more double crochet stitches, close off with a slip stitch at the top of the chain 2, repeat it like that till we get to row 12. So I've come to the end of the 12th row, and of course we have 45 double crochet stitches at the end of that, and I went ahead to cut my yarn. The next thing we are going to do is to move to the brim, but we're going to be changing the color of our yarn at this point. But if you're not changing the color of your yarn, go ahead and do a slip stitch. I'll be changing the color of my yarn to this cream color that we can see here. What I'm going to do next is to insert my hook under the stitch right after our chain 2, okay, and then I pull this second color of yarn through. So I pull it through like this, and I do my slip stitch in the brown loop. So make sure to hold it tight, and the next thing we are going to do is to chain 6. So I'll go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So at the second chain from the hook, not the chain closest to the hook, this is the first chain, right here is the second chain. I'm going to insert my hook and do a single crochet stitch, and then I'll do single crochet stitches in the next 4 stitches. So I've done the first one, I'll go ahead and do the second one, do the third one, do the fourth one, and then do the 5th one right here. So once I do the 5th single crochet stitch right there, the next thing I'm going to do is to do slip stitches. I'm going to do slip stitches as well as hide the rest of this yarn. So I move to the next stitch, under it, pull my yarn through, and then pull it through this loop. So that's 1 slip stitch. I'll go ahead and do another one, insert my hook into the next stitch, pull my yarn through, and pull it through this loop. So I've done what? 2 slip stitches. Then I'll turn my work and insert my hook into the back loop of the single crochet stitch that we just did. Now a stitch is made up of front loop and back loop, okay? So we want to make this brim sort of ribbed. So I'll just go ahead and insert my hook, pull my yarn through, all right, and do my first single crochet stitch, move to the second one, pull my yarn through, do the second, until I do 5 single crochet stitches. So here is the 4th one, and then right here is the 5th one. So once I do the 5th one, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and do single crochet stitches in the back loop only. So I move to the stitch right after the chain 1 that we just did, and I'm going to start doing my single crochet stitches, and you should do 5 single crochet stitches in each row. So this is the second one, here is the third, the 4th, and then the 5th. And once I do the 5th one, I move to the next stitch, do a slip stitch, move to the next stitch, and do another slip stitch. So I did 2 slip stitches here, and then I'm going to turn my work, insert my hook in the back loop of the single crochet stitch that we just did, okay, pull my yarn through, and do a single crochet stitch, and I'm going to do 4 more. So if you're going in this direction, you're going to do 5 single crochet stitches after your 2 slip stitches, okay? I'm going to do 5 single crochet stitches in this row, chain 1, turn my work, do another 5 single crochet stitches for the next row, and then do 2 slip stitches on this part right here before repeating the same thing again, okay? So I'm just going to continue to repeat everything that I've just explained. Is a repetition, okay? So I'll just go ahead and continue to do that till I get right back to where I started. So after doing the last single crochet row on this stitch, okay, where we have the brown, I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. So I'll leave a long piece so that I'll be able to stitch these 2 parts together. After cutting my yarn, I go on to pull the yarn through to properly secure it. Then I'll get my tapestry needle or my yarn needle. I don't know why I keep calling it tapestry needle. I'll get my yarn needle. Okay, and I'll begin to stitch this up together. So I'll turn it to this other side so I can stitch it. I can have the wrong side of this stitch on this side, okay? So after stitching, this is what I have on the wrong side. This is what it looks like on the right side. I'll go on to hide the rest of this yarn. So I'll just go on to hide it so that my stitches do not come undone. So after hiding the yarn, this is what the cap looks like. Of course, I'll go ahead and hide this one as well. And then we are going to move to creating the ears for this cap. So for the ears, we are going to create a magic ring, just like how we started this cap, exactly what we did there. So we are going to create a magic ring. I have this large loop, and what we are going to be doing is 12 double crochet stitches in the loop after we have chained 2. I bring it out like this and I go ahead and chain 2, and then I'm going to do 12 double crochet stitches in here. So here is my first double crochet stitch. So here is the first one, and here is the second. So I'm going to do 10 more double crochet stitches around this large loop to make our 12 double crochet stitches. So after completing the 12 double crochet stitches, I'll go ahead and pull this tail so that we can tighten it. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch right after the chain 2 that we did. So I'll just go ahead and slip stitch right there. So now that we are done with this, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 now. In the stitch beside that chain 1, I'm going to be doing 2 half double crochet stitches. So this is how to do a half double crochet stitch. I yarn over, insert my hook, pull my yarn through, yarn over, pull through the 3 loops. So this is my first half double crochet. I'll go ahead and do the second one. So I yarn over, insert my hook, pull my yarn through, yarn over, and pull through the 3 loops. So what I'm going to be doing is 2 half double crochet in the next 11 stitches. So I've done 2 half double crochet in 1 stitch. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the next 11 stitches that we have here. So after completing the 2 half double crochet in the 12th stitch, we're not going to slip stitch just yet. I'm going to go ahead and cut this yarn. We are going to be changing the color of our yarn to the brown one. So this is what we're going to use to do our slip stitch to close this row. So I insert my hook right after the chain 1 that we did. So I insert my hook and then pull this yarn, the brown yarn, through it, and then I slip stitch into the cream colored loop that we can see here. So I do my slip stitch, and we have closed the second row. So the next thing I'm going to do is to chain 1. So after chaining 1, I'm going to do single half double crochet stitches in all of the stitches that we have here. All right, and I'm going to start from the stitch closest to the chain 1. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook right there, pull my yarn through, yarn over, and pull through the 3 loops. I move to the next stitch, making sure that I hide this yarn as I go along. So I move to the next stitch, do the second half double crochet stitch, move to the third, do another half double crochet stitch. So I'm just going to continue to repeat this till I get right back to this stitch here. So in total I have 24 half double crochet stitches right here. So what I'm going to do next is to do a slip stitch at the top of that chain one, or right after the chain one, beside the half double crochet stitch. So I'm going to do a slip stitch right there to close this row off. Okay, I do my slip stitch, and when you finish, it's going to appear curved like this. And once I do the slip stitch, I cut my yarn, leaving a long tail, because we're going to need this to stitch the ear that we just made to our cap. And after cutting, I pull my yarn through like so. So you need to make 2 of this for the ears of this cap, and I have 2 right here. So the next thing we're going to do is to move to stitching this to the cap, and we're going to need our yarn needle for this. So I go ahead and yarn the needle like so, get the cap. Now I'm going to be stitching this ear at the beginning of row 3. So this is row 1, this is row 2, and this is row 3. I'm going to start stitching at the beginning of row 3 and end at the end of row 4, or at the beginning of row 5. So I'll start from the beginning of row 5. I'll start stitching from that point till I get to the beginning of row 3. I'm passing my yarn through the cap and then through the ear that we have just made, okay, and make it as tight as possible so that the ear can sit well on the cap. So I've gotten to the beginning of row 3. I'll just go ahead and knot it right here, and of course hide this yarn, okay. And once I've done enough hiding, I cut it, and I'll repeat the same thing for the second ear on this other side. Start from the beginning of row 3 and end at the beginning of row 5. So after stitching, this is what our bear heart, our crochet bear heart, looks like. And if you decide that you want to add, you know, an additional design where you make the eye and the nose and the mouth, you can go ahead and do that. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, kindly give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more crochet tutorials.